Be advised, mature content ahead. This podcast is brought to you ad-free thanks to the Legion of Demons at patreon.com/NOTLP. If you like what you hear, there's much more at patreon.com/NOTLP. Join the Legion. That's patreon.com/NOTLP. And now the show.
How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Hey, welcome to Night of the Living podcast. Kelley had this brilliant idea, and that's what we're going to do all month long. The next series of Monarch monster movies.
Monarch monster movies, because I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big and colorful and fun and good.
Now, the Monarch movies are those are specifically the newer generation ones, right?
Yeah, that was created for this group of American Godzilla / Kong / kaiju movies.
Cool. We'll be getting to that main attraction. I can't wait.
Yeah, boy.
If you had put a gun to my head prior to
I would never
last night, right? Now, you know what? We live in this country. I shouldn't say things like that. If you had threatened to slap the taste out of my mouth, I would have said that Godzilla was in this movie, Kong Skull Island, that we watched.
Well, there is an image of Godzilla towards the end.
Nah, bro, I thought they fought.
No, that's Kong versus Godzilla,
which I haven't even seen.
You have. We went. Isn't that what we saw when I went?
She didn't go.
Oh, right.
Reese kindly went to the theater out for us to see it,
and I said no.
Amy is like,
I
fuck that noise. I hate lizards.
I don't know why I thought, you know what? The mind is mysterious. The human mind.
You think the multiverse is collapsing and you accidentally got the other Amy's memories?
Oh.
Every day I wonder about fucking parallel dimensions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not joking.
I hope they exist. No, I know. I agree. It's one of the few things I have hope for.
Yeah.
Is that I exist somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I will continue.
Perpendicular dimensions. Think about it.
In fact,
you broke my brain.
No Godzilla in Kong Skull Island, hence the name.
And then, Kelley, you had the roulette this week too, right?
I did.
The Unheard.
The Unheard, which I watched and I saw.
Did you hear it?
I did.
Was it a silent film?
It was quiet at points, but I heard the whole thing.
We got that coming up. A whole lot of silence. Patreon.com/NOTLP. We just talked about Funk, which sounds like a pneumatic tube sending paperwork somewhere.
Is in fact an Indian horror movie.
2011.
And then on Origins we talked about that and Tales
from the Dead.
From the Dead.
Or of the Dead.
Close
I don't
enough.
know. I forgot. Even though I listened to the episode, I don't remember the name of the movie.
Tales, some preposition.
Topicana's out.
The Dead. Yeah, Toppy's out. If you're a patron.
If you want to hear me scream at Andy for overthinking my dumb questions.
It wasn't just me.
If you want to hear me scream at everybody.
It was Freddie and me.
Oh,
you want to hear me
I got a gold star.
Yeah, you did good.
Kelley passed the test.
Kelley got a gold star. The rest of you are still...
And the questions were keep one.
You can only keep one.
Which is that internet trend where they give you a placemat covered in faces of like heartthrobs or like keep one.
JTT forever.
Yeah.
It was a good episode too. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Except if you were me.
I enjoyed it.
Well, except if you were Amy. But
so all of that.
I had fun. So three out of four of us had fun at least.
Yeah.
You're the dentist that says no.
The fifth dentist.
I knew it.
You know, speaking of dentists, clearance Easter candy day.
Oh, yeah.
It's Monday, y'all.
Do you know what I found out today?
What's that?
Kelley, is everything okay?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Alise just brought our kitty cat back from the vet. She had dental work today.
Okay.
That's so weird that I said, speaking of dentists.
I'm looking at Kelley and I'm like, you're freaking out. And I said, oh God, is something happening?
The cat came back with full headgear.
All right, everything's fine.
He's excited about his pussycat coming home.
We're talking on, we have at where I work, we have like a weekly Monday morning, here's what's going on this week with all of us, Teams meeting. And somebody said, did anybody eat Peeps? I was the only one that raised my hand. I'm the only one I work with that likes Peeps.
Yeah, you might be the only one in this room that likes Peeps.
I'm fine with them. They're just marshmallows, right?
Yeah, sugar-covered marshmallows.
That are dry and hard.
Well, if they're you got to leave them out. They're good when they start to get hard.
Yeah, when they're
Amy likes them
extra
hard.
chewy. They're fine.
But soft
hate
in the
them.
middle.
Yeah.
I hate them.
I hate them too.
They're disgusting.
It always tasted like I was eating like a wet like roll of toilet paper that had dried.
Ew.
But it's
Like
so
it got
sugary,
wet
though.
and then it dried.
I don't hate
yeah.
them that much. I hate them, but I don't hate them wet roll of toilet paper amounts. That's really the most disgusting description
that's
of
such a,
eating anything I've ever heard.
That's a specific description. Have you had wet toilet paper before?
It reminds me of something I've had before that reminds me of that before. So I'm not sure where
The
in
thing
my
you
memory.
had before was a wet roll of
It might have been.
toilet paper.
One of these
maybe
dogs,
one of my bullies in my past.
Did a dog
I just
fart?
repressed it.
I think a dog farted, but it smells like soggy breakfast cereal.
So anyway, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Peeps are fine, but it just goes to show you people are different. People are different.
Do you prefer the chicks or the bunnies?
It doesn't matter to me. You set them out. You open the package.
Shapes taste different.
Set them out for a day or
Let
two.
the air get to them.
Then they start to get crusty on the outside, but they stay so gooey on the inside. All right, hey, listen, whatever.
We'll leave that well enough alone. I think it's well established that Peeps are divisive. I think most people listening to this are like,
Are they like the candy corn of Easter?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, there's like literally.
I think there's more people that like candy corn though than like Peeps, but somehow they crank out a goddamn
like both.
trillion of them.
Yeah.
I do like both, not together.
Amy likes the super sweet, mostly made from corn syrup stuff.
Let's just get her a
Leave me
thing of corn
alone.
syrup and just let her chug it.
Leave.
But isn't
me
there? I think it was John,
alone.
was it John Oliver. They had like
Why am I being bullied right now?
there was a super cut of just news anchors overreacting to how gross Peeps were.
yeah.
I mean, like, this is like a thing.
I know it's a thing.
It's not really like weird that we don't like Peeps. I think,
But it's
that's
strange to me
50% the
out of,
people hate
like,
them.
How many people were in that meeting? Like 10 people.
That is weird that there wasn't like an even split. I feel like it's always
Yeah.
half the room is like, give me all the Peeps. And the other half are like, take the Peeps.
Yo, peep this.
It's what keeps the universe in balance.
And that's what they would say.
Yeah.
So much has happened since we've last spoken.
Really?
I mean, real life stuff, but we're not going to talk about that. Actually, nothing is.
Oh, let's don't.
Truly, nothing has happened in our lives.
Well, we watched a lot of riff tracks, so that's
What did we watch? Oh, Miami Connection. I watched that the other night.
Yeah, it's classic.
That was fun. They make the joke stirring, so it's like silly, and then they're being silly. Get out of
You
here.
sound like somebody's aunt.
I know. I was.
Elise and I, we watched a movie called Pin, which Freddie has seen, right?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, movie's crazy good.
Yeah,
Pin.
you've seen
Pin.
it maybe you've seen it like 15 years. You saw it back when we first met Patrick Walsh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Scream
he's the
Queens.
one that clued us into it. Really, he clued Elise into it, and then we watched it together, and it was well worth it. Really, I mean, really good, and so creepy and disturbing. Another Canadian one, a lot like The Pit, but like less. I mean, The
More-
Pit is
more
awesome, but less
traditional.
kind of silly. Yeah, but really good. Terry O'Quinn's in it.
Have we? I
Love
don't think
him.
we've ever covered it at all. I really don't.
No,
We
I
should
don't think
do
so
it. We
either.
should do it for sure. We should all do it.
What's the basic premise in one sentence?
It's like a doll of man-sized medical dummy.
Yeah, a family, a weird family with a dad who is a doctor, and he has a full-size anatomy doll in his office that he uses for education. And he's weird, but his little boy has an obsession with it, and it escalates as he grows into a man. Anyway, really good. Maybe we'll do it someday.
It's solid.
Then we can do that with Mannequin.
Oh, you could just do Mannequin Month. Be like
I'm into it.
Mannequin dolls. You could do Maniac as one of them. You're covered. There's so many mannequins in horror movies that you're really in fantasy.
Or you could do Man O'Quinn, and it's just movies starring Terry O'Quinn.
And mannequins. How many movies has Terry O'Quinn?
And mannequins, but no, just other men. Man
or Quinn.
All right, we'll work on it. Andy, you're the pun master. You get to work on it.
I'm like,
you're gonna.
you threw me for a loop there. My brain went exploded in it.
Well, put it on your to-do list.
This is your only job, is to pun.
Update us.
I can't pun on the spot.
Okay.
Mannequin. I love it, Amy. Actually, the way it came out, this is pretty good.
And that, dear listener, is a peek behind.
We could just do a whole month of Terry Quinn
the
movies.
curtain and how this works.
Is it Terry O'Quinn or Terry Quinn?
O'Quinn.
O'Quinn.
The stepfather?
Yeah, stepfather. He's good.
Silver Bullet.
Great guy. Just loved him.
Responsible New England sheriff.
So, how are we all doing after the news dropped yesterday about Taylor Swift and Joe Alwyn breaking up?
I didn't know. First of all, the second name you said, I don't even know at all.
It's fine. Nobody does.
Yeah, I'm teetering on like this will to live thing, and that's you picking my cane out from under me.
You're like, love isn't real.
No,
is that why?
It's more like
Is that why, Freddie?
I don't care who she's dating. I'm a fan. I love Taylor Swift's music, but the fact that any of her social life makes the news to me is just like
it's on CNN's front page.
I don't give a fuck at all. I mean, honestly, I didn't give a fuck about Elvis Presley's personal life either, and it was way more interesting.
He was long dead by the time you were.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is like
there wasn't as much about his personal life on the news when you were of news watching age. So that's to be fair.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, some people need the drama to accentuate the art. I'm like, just leave that shit. Leave that shit. You can have that shit.
Yeah, I don't care that she broke up. I just feel bad for Taylor, just because she gets so much crap from the media for like all her relationships, and this one seemed like it was gonna last. It was 6 years apparently.
There's nothing wrong with 6 years. Is wonderful. That's a long time. Let Taylor live her life.
Let these people lead normal lives unless they're setting it up to begin with.
Well, Freddie, like
TMZ.
That guy that sued Gwyneth Paltrow said, if you don't hold them accountable, these celebrities.
Okay, just bring that up because that made me mad.
They will then go to an island and molest children.
That she got off.
Oh, you're mad that
the man
just because
that sued her was fucked up.
Just because I dislike her so much that I just wanted her.
You didn't care. It was a frivolous
I don't
suit.
care if it was like a frivolous suit and that the guy was kind of a rich person too.
I want to buy a whole wardrobe of frivolous suits.
Like, they're just made of like just cheap material that but they're expensive.
Yeah.
But they've got goofy patterns.
They're not appropriate for any occasion.
Yeah, I wasn't cheering on one side or the other because it's two rich people doing rich people things. Yeah. But it was the fact that it was Gwyneth Paltrow, and I was like, throw the book at her.
Yeah, she sucks.
I get why
a real book. A real
you don't
book.
like her.
I'd probably kill her. She looks brittle. I'm not gonna lie. Like, she doesn't look like she eats enough to support her bones.
To, like, die from book.
From booking?
Yeah, so I just won't do it until you've seen like a bone density scan report.
But she's another celebrity who I know of against my will.
Yeah.
Just because she's a headline generator.
What are you shooting up your vagina this month, Goop?
So what aren't you eating now, Gwyneth Paltrow?
Most things.
What aren't you eating now? What's not you eating, Gilbert Scrapes?
Well, the headline was like, Gwyneth Paltrow just eats bone broth for lunch. I was like, does that need to be a whole article?
Whoopity-doo!
But it made me mad.
I know people that just eat bone broth for lunch sometimes. Alise eats bone broth for lunch sometimes.
But I think that's like all she eats.
For lunch, though. It's just one meal. They don't talk about the fucking cheesesteak she's slamming at dinner time.
Oh, is that her version of like the shake for lunch, shake for breakfast, sensible dinner?
Sensible bone marrow broth.
Here's what I'll tell you. It's just like the real world news is too much to handle.
Yes.
I want to just bathe in Gwyneth Paltrow being sued by a eye doctor. Is he an eye doctor?
Retired. Again, I know too much about
this. Because he says she ran into him at a fucking pricey, expensive, exclusive ski resort. I need that. I need Taylor Swift breaking up with her boyfriend. It feeds my need to know what's going on.
In times, I just maybe want to cloister myself with a bunch of Jesuit monks. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I start resenting my devices a little bit. But then I'll have a good day where I'm like, yeah, I can enjoy this. Like, John Oliver will do something and he turns it around where I'm like, I'm enjoying this now. I need filters. I need other people to experience the news for me and regurgitate it at me in a fun way.
In a funny way.
So I'm always watching those shows for that reason.
I can definitely. That's the only way I can really engage with news now, is through like comedy, like sketch comedy or stand-up comedy, or like a John Oliver kind of in the middle thing of that. And even a comedian that I like a lot, Jackie Kashian, who's not, she's not like super well known, but you know, she's had a very long career. I follow her and she is furious, and I feel for her, and I imagine it must be very hard because she's been posting just not funny things, just straight up, this shit is fucked up. And I think today she even had one where she's like, I can't really even engage with this the way I was. Anyway, even that is difficult now for comedians. Yeah.
Breaking us all down.
So I just don't read the news. I read some of the news the other day and I had to stop because I am in a weird place of anxiety that I've never been in my life. Not just because of the world, but
doesn't help.
And so I was like, oh, that's right. This is why I stopped reading news, because none of it is anything I can help. And it just makes me sad and angry and sad and sad and sad and then angry.
It's not good for
sad,
you.
Sad.
No matter who you are, to absorb that much information daily, especially something that is in a constant crisis. So, like, let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about the Unheard. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
You wanna move on? Okay, let's do that.
Let's do it.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for straight-to-video Russian roulette.
This is a stage 1 clinical trial. Right now, hearing loss is irreversible. The purpose of this study is to change that. I can hear, like, everything.
I know you. Your name's Chloe, right? We used to play together as kids.
My mom left when I was 8. Disappeared. It's the last time I remember really hearing anything. I still hear her voice.
We look for your mom. It was really hard to do.
This place, it does things to you.
I think something's wrong with the procedure. I'm hearing things. Things that aren't there. It's getting worse.
What are you hearing right now?
This looks kind of spooky.
This is a good movie. We both really like this. It's not flawless, but it is good. All right, let me start.
Okay.
Right off the top, if you are a long runtime hater, probably want to avoid it. It is a 2 hour and 5 minute movie.
Oh boy.
It's a Shudder movie. And it is I feel like some people would think it's a slow burn. Now, I will say it didn't feel like 2 hours really to me. The pacing I thought was good. We all thought it was good. Colin watched it with me and Alise. Well, he watched the last little bit of it. And so I think we all thought the pacing was good, but I can see some people considering this a slow burn. Very spooky. The setup, as you may or may not have gleaned from the trailer, is there is a young woman named Chloe who has had sort of total hearing loss from the time she was, a child. But she wasn't always completely hearing impaired. She got that way after getting meningitis. And so as we begin the film, she is participating in a clinical trial of this procedure that uses stem cells propagated by a retrovirus to regrow the nerve cells that were damaged so that you could potentially have hearing again. Which is a pretty, I mean, it's that's very plausible. I don't know.
But the stem cells came from
plausible,
like a convicted serial killer on death row or something.
It actually, what they didn't tell you was the stem cells came from the 10 greatest villains of all time. Jack the Ripper, Julius Caesar. It was actually Serpentor. And there is a murderer subplot. Not to spoil it, but I mean, you
kind of get that
right there
vibe, yeah, from the trailer.
It's a mystery. It is definitely a mystery, and so anyway, Chloe gets this, and again, as you hear in the trailer, I'm not going to spoil, or I'm going to try not to spoil anything, that'll fuck it up for you. But she regains her hearing. And she is staying in their place on Cape Cod, which her and her father are trying to sell, because when she was a child, right after, I can't remember if it was while she was in a coma from the meningitis or after, but her mother just disappeared, just went missing.
Whoops.
And never came back. Never found her. Nothing. And so everybody's very sad. And so her and her father, they now live in Maryland, and she continues to have conversations with him over text and phone. But she's in the house where where she grew up, and weird things start to happen. She starts going through these, once her hearing comes back, she starts playing these old family VHS tapes and hearing voices. And there's a house across from her, an empty rental place because it's a vacation town. And, but she keeps seeing lights on in there, and the neighbor boy is weird. And then there's, like I said, there's a murder subplot.
Dude,
that's a bullet point in your review.
The neighbor boy.
The neighbor boy is weird.
That wasn't even part of his review. He was talking about his actual neighbor boy.
Oh no!
I wonder. That's a great movie title, actually.
The neighbor boy is weird.
He's a weird neighbor boy. Said, "See you later, boy." This sounds like I'm Alyssa.
Good,
I like just having you tell me the story. Actually, I'm like, I feel like I'm by the campfire right now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of spooky spooks, and there are a lot of characters that come in and out. Not a lot, a few. And so, like I said, it's not flawless, and I do wonder, because we were talking about, there's kind of this weird scene where this I will maybe, it's not really a spoiler because it just kind of comes in weirdly and then goes away, where, all through the movie, her and sort of the doctor that is doing the trial, they kind of have this weird vibe. And then there's this moment when the doctor is at her house because she's talking to her about some of these auditory hallucinations and problems she's having. And there's this weird charged moment where suddenly it seems like they're trying to say these two are attracted to each other. And that was that's the only time you see it. And we were saying, I wonder if some things were left because it's such a long movie,
right,
that maybe it was longer, or there was even more background to that they ended up cutting out just to even get it to 205, because it comes out of left field, and then you're like, oh, is that a thing? And then it kind of goes away, and never comes back up. So there is some weird, but then also it could be attributed to what I think is maybe what's going on, which I'm not gonna talk about. But it does not spoon feed you. The end is ambiguous in some ways. You get a definite ending for some threads.
Right.
But overall, you kind of have to figure it out for yourself what you think is going on overall. But again, I really liked it. There's a lot of like analog horror elements. At the beginning, they actually warn people if you have epilepsy, because there's like a lot of VHS like tracking problems that they use that become like bright light, like ghostly, like very poltergeisty in some ways. It's very poltergeisty in some ways, but not really. Anyway, I think it's definitely a recommend if you like a spooky mystery movie. Colin kind of compared it to The Ring, which I can kind of see that. I can definitely see that.
Well, the minute you said VHS, that's where my head went.
Yeah, for sure.
I was thinking Sinister, like
yeah.
her finding the tapes and watching them kind of gave me that.
That too, a little bit.
It's inherently kind of a spooky proposition. Old VHS tapes, especially,
Do you feel that
or
way?
Or film reels, yeah.
Unlabeled.
In Christmas Vacation, when he gets those out, did you feel that same way?
I felt
like,
that's the scariest part of the movie.
Yeah, it is the scariest part of the movie. It's the
scariest part of a terrifying movie.
The unrecognized fungus that the dog had.
That's really a culprit. So, if you like piecing shit together and
if you like pieces of shit.
If you eat them for breakfast, then you can do that while you watch this movie. It's a recommend from me. Very well directed. Some of the acting is hit and miss. Some of it's very good, I think. Some of it's a little clumsy, but I think I think some of its parts, I think it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
All right. The Unheard. The end. Signed, Kelley Kombrinck.
I want someone to do a eulogy for someone in the style of our roulette reviews. Where we're always like, well, he was a good guy. Well, he wasn't always a good guy. There was a time,
but overall,
pretty good. I don't know. I'm not saying he's getting into heaven. I'm not saying he's going to hell.
I can see why some people wouldn't like him, but
he's a little long-winded. But if you don't mind that,
he's for you. He's for. I mean, if you like assholes, this is your man.
Sometimes we just shit on him, on a person. We don't recommend him at all.
I'm gonna do this at all of your funerals.
We're so poorly directed, poorly acted person.
I want someone to give an indecisive eulogy for me. I think that would be cool. Indecisive Eulogy is also a good band name or album name.
All right. For next week, the roulette movie will be Re/Member. It's on Netflix.
That's a grammatical nightmare.
This description, it's like, you can't write this. You can't say, in this scary horror film. You can't say it's scary.
A super scary ghost movie. There are slashes
That's up for
and knives and sharp knives.
Debate. Anyway, 6 high school students get stuck in a time loop where they're stalked and murdered by a monstrous child every night.
A monstrous child?
I'm going to say...
I'm kind of glad that I got this one that I just watched and not this one.
Well, it looks Japanese, I believe.
Oh, so it might be fun.
Oh, okay.
Why is that? The same description for an American movie. Yeah. We're always like, ugh. But then I'm like, if it's Japanese, I'm like, I'm in 100%.
They're going to do it.
This is how I feel about a lot of things, like British shows, and they're like, they're going to make it. No, American people are horrible. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Put it anywhere else, please.
So let's see. We're going to watch. What's it called? Re/Member?
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe I remembered how to say that.
Oh, my gosh.
You Re/Membered how to say it.
All right. The wheel is a spinning. The wheel is a spinning.
Yeah.
Hey, Freddie, remember that you have this movie for next week.
It didn't mean it to be so dramatic. I'm sorry. I'll learn to live with it.
Will you?
I think it sounds good.
An uncharted island Let me list all the ways you're gonna die. Rain, heat, disease-carrying flies, and we haven't started on the things that want to eat you alive.
We'll double that.
Plus a bonus if we make it back. If?
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine.
Is that a monkey?
He's God on the island.
We don't belong here.
But the devils live below us. I call them skull crawlers. Why? Because it sounds neat.
Okay.
Look, I just made that name up. I'm trying to scare you.
I'm fine calling them that. Are you cool with it?
Yeah, that seems like
I
good.
like the name.
Great use of one of my favorite songs in that trailer. So much Vietnam in this musically.
And what I love though about it is like they take the Vietnam. Oh, this movie is so beautifully directed. They give you the Vietnam movie thing, but they actually use a lot of songs that aren't the usual ones.
Yeah.
You don't get Fortunate Son. Mm-hmm. You don't, you do get White Rabbit. Yeah, but it's like
Springfield.
It's so like, it's such a tweak, which is one of the things I love. As you all know, as listeners, and you all know, Godzilla's my guy. I love Godzilla. I always loved Kong. Godzilla's been my guy, but I do think this is my favorite and the best of these new Monarch movies.
I love that it's basically Apocalypse Now with King Kong thrown in there.
Exactly. Little Moby Dick.
I think that was on purpose too.
Oh, clearly. I mean, yeah.
So what are the movies that are in this universe?
So in this universe, you have Kong Skull Island.
Okay.
You have Godzilla 2014, which I'm going to suggest that we skip.
Matthew Broderick?
No.
Oh, no.
Is that a joke?
That's the Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston. Oh, my God. I forgot all about that one. Okay.
Oh, dude.
Oh, wait. No,
okay.
The other one was in 98.
98.
Okay.
It's
sorry.
notorious.
And it is
Ridiculous.
terrible.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yes. Kyle Chandler, right?
Yeah, he's in that. Yes, he is. He's in all of these. Well, not this one.
Vera Farmiga.
And Vera Farmiga.
Okay. And Millie Bobby Brown.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Robert Price. So
okay, those two.
You get you got Godzilla 2014, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is my other favorite of this series, and then Godzilla versus Kong or Kong versus Godzilla.
Gotcha. So those four movies. All right.
And this one to me is the best. It's the best directed. I like all of them. I love all of them, but this one to me is the best. It's my favorite. I think it is the most stylishly, most beautifully directed. I think the story, I like all of the human characters, which is so rare. And it's actually, again, I will admit that the new Godzilla movies, which is a huge complaint apparently for people, which I can't even believe. And that's some of you guys that I'm talking, not you guys, not the crew. It's some of you guys out there I've had these conversations with. And some people we know I've had conversations with where they complained about things that I don't think you should complain about. when it comes to Godzilla and Kong movies. Silly shit. Like, oh, it's so silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Is that a monkey? Yeah.
Honestly, I thought
silly.
I was thinking.
But this movie.
Are they looking for a
Oh, so you go ahead.
Giant monster movie?
But I do think this one, like, and so there are aspects of the later Godzilla movies where they're trying to create like this sort of tech, and where now, you know, the understanding of the Titans, which they become known as, is sort of universal, and I think that's where the silliness in those comes in.
No, I love the mythology building they're doing in this series.
Agreed. Yeah. I hope that they continue this shared monster universe, but this one, far less silly because it's in the past. So there's no weird tech. There's like that doesn't exist exactly. You know, it's all very like it's set in 1974, 73, 74 because it's the end of Vietnam War. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Amy. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that honestly, I was watching it thinking, okay, my experience with Godzilla is like simply from I saw the Matthew Broderick one, and then I've seen everything except Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it was. So I was thinking, okay, watching this, they really tried to this is a serious for a movie blockbuster.
That's a serious-ish
version of these characters. I was thinking the complaint would actually be it was too serious. Because to me, those older Godzilla movies, cheap looking and acting as whatever, and they were just slapping them together.
Which is why I don't mind the Godzilla movies that are new being silly, because, and when we get to King of the Monsters, I'm going to go off again because it is exactly like an old Toho. They're just like the old Toho Godzilla movies. And if anybody wants to argue that with me, I will do it. And I will be right. I'll be right.
And you better hope he doesn't have a hammer.
I'll fucking be. I won't hammer you, but I will hammer you with my words.
Yes.
And not even angry words. It will be just
angry words.
You won't be able to argue me about this. You just won't. Not successfully.
Is there ever going to be a giant banana for Kong is a question that's really bothered me for a long time, because he has to eat I don't know how many bunches of bananas to get the same enjoyment that a regular size.
You eat one of those giant squids.
Yeah. I hope that in the next one, that is, we start off in a lab where they've developed a giant banana,
or it could
to reward Kong.
I want to find like would they never put a giant banana tree on the island in any of the movies. And it's just it's a small complaint.
My complaint is I didn't see a giant King Kong turd.
That too.
Yeah, where are they?
I don't need to see every biological reality of King Kong, but I do want to know that he's not subsisting wholly on squids that he's killing in the river. I think I want to see him eat giant fruit. And I'm not just saying that
because that's your special king.
The artistry of watching. I want to see Hollywood's top tier.
Siri is listening to all of this.
She is. I want to see Hollywood's top tier effects artists create giant fruits, and I want Kong to have the scene of just feasting until he's sick. He's eating as much as he wants. That's all. I won't dispute that. Yeah.
Is Kong native to Skull Island in this universe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
His
and this
family.
What?
They're very big to live on a small island.
Well, that's why. I mean, they're Titans. They came from the Hollow Earth.
Oh.
Underground.
And or because of the closeness to the part of this is that the Earth's natural sort of radioactivity is what caused the Titans to be the sort of mega predators that they are.
And also, don't pick at the threads, Amy. Just watch the movie for what it is giant monsters breaking busting shit up.
You can pick at some of them, but like, I mean, there's this.
I relaxed my brain, and I love, the action sequences in this movie.
Yeah.
Fucking A goddamn plus.
The reason this movie is so great to me is because I know what I'm in for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do.
Giant monsters fighting each other, and that's all I need. And it gave me a lot of that.
It's a great setup too with Sam Jackson, like having his he's the guy who can't function outside of the military, gets his final marching orders, and then because they had to give up the war in Vietnam, he's got all that baggage, emotional baggage over that.
Yeah.
And to have him set up as this guy who didn't know that they were going into a combat scenario, and for him to become the only thing he cares about. At first you're like, is he a villain? He's not a villain though. It's a complex. It's a much more complex character than you get in the other movies.
I definitely saw him as a villain because I don't recall a character I hated as much in recent memory as this character.
Yeah,
I just wanted to see him get his comeuppance because constantly he is trying to, it's the Moby Dick thing, like you're not going to win, right? But just to see him pursue it, it was very interesting.
Though? It's more so for me. It's more, I actually don't hate that character because he's doing No Man Left Behind, and that's really like the thing. He does. He gets driven
nominally,
even when he finds out the dude's dead that they were trying to save.
Well, he gets driven past it. Like he sees King Kong as North Vietnam. Like I love that idea of this monster standing in as the enemy he couldn't keep fighting. And I think it's brilliant. Cool. It's a cool. It's Colonel Kurt's kind of variation, and I love that they kept those. They didn't need that, I guess is my point. It could have just been a bunch of military guys. They're not usually that interesting when it's in the military to fight these things.
You needed to throw some conflict in there because otherwise it's just people trying to get off an island.
Yeah, but that's enough. That's what I'm saying. It's enough, and a lot of movies would have said, a lot of filmmakers, especially in sci-fi and horror, would be like, it's enough that they are all fleeing King Kong. We don't need to have this.
But King Kong's not a bad guy, though, in this movie.
No.
So
nobody's really
the skull crawler.
It's nature. It's like... it's
can we talk about two things? One, this is a big dumb action movie, and I love that. But King Kong, to me, when I think about watching a King Kong movie, I think about weeping at the end. And they were very good at towing the line where I didn't want to cry. I felt bad for Kong, but I didn't want to weep.
I almost did when I saw the bodies of his parents.
Yeah.
And that next to each other. I was like, oh, they died next to each other. That's sweet, but also sad.
This is one of the things I actually also love about this movie. And outside of the original King Kong, the 1933 version, this is my favorite Kong movie of all of them. And I think it's the best. And what I love that the Monarch series does for Kong, and they bring him into it because he's not part of that. Like Peter Jackson's King Kong is good. It's a good movie, but they work so hard on making Kong a very realistic,
it's emotional
giant
torture is that fucking movie.
Silverback gorilla or mount. You know what I mean? Yeah. He is a gorilla. This Kong is not any kind of primate that we know. It is a species unto itself. And I love that in this one. Here's why you're not going to cry. Because no human being, and this is kind of what Andy alluded to, and what I love about the Titans, no human being is going to kill any of the Titans. You know what I mean? They think they can. That was Colonel Packard's really huge fucking miscalculation, is that he thought he could light Kong up on fire and it would kill him. And it hurt him bad. But then he got back up and fucking fought the Skullcrawler. No person is going to kill Godzilla. No person, no military. They could fucking nuke him. It would only make him stronger. So I love that the only things that are going to fucking kill those things are others of those things. And the people are just like, we're just bullshit. Yeah. And we think we're so awesome and that we're in charge of all this shit. It's just like the fucking Blue Oyster Cult song. History proves again and again how nature points out the folly of man. Godzilla.
That's what makes John Goodman's character so great in this, is that you also get like was his backstory that his dad was killed by a kaiju?
No, he was on a ship that Godzilla fucking. I think the idea is that Godzilla pulled his ship under, and he was one of the only survivors.
So the idea that he recognizes these in a kind of Lovecraftian way, where they're the great old ones, and that we are doomed that
they're gods.
That they're gods, and that's what the writers of these new versions, said when we were at remember the WonderCon panel that Andy and I went to, where they were saying the idea is that these are basically the great old ones from Lovecraft, the same kind of concept, and the perspective shifts, like where some of these, the only way to stop a giant bad lizard with fire breath is a giant good guy with a banana.
With a banana.
The fucking it needs to be more iconic. That scene where they first fucking see Kong. I mean, it's the cover art also, but just him silhouetted against that sun with the choppers.
Yeah.
So badass. Like Kong just slinging fucking helicopters all over the goddamn place.
The first thing's a palm tree, right? He throws through the first helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
It just starts.
Yeah, because you before they ever see Kong, they see this mass coming at them, and it's the top of a palm tree. And it goes right spears through the helicopter.
The second thing for anybody with OCD who is listening, I will now complete my 2 things list. The color palette of this movie is so cool to me, and I just couldn't get over it last night because it's this very specific kinds of greens and oranges.
Oranges, yeah.
And it's distinctive as hell.
And they strictly adhere to it.
Yeah, like everything,
nice
like whatever they do, whatever fancy little program does that was pretty cool. Then that fucking giant bug that had tree legs.
The spider or the stick bug? Oh, the stick bug.
Stick bug.
Well, that's what Kelley said. Which one? Which awesome bug are you talking about? That's another reason.
It freaked me out.
That's another reason why this movie is so awesome, because of all the other creatures they introduced to us. The world building, like I talked about, is like that with the giant buffalo.
Yeah, that was
great.
Yeah. And like the giant log bug.
Have you noticed that?
And the squid and
like the most violent deaths in these Kong, like in Peter Jackson's Kong, it came from insects too. Like in this, that fucking Cannibal Holocaust shit through the guy's mouth, that leg through the mouth. That almost was like felt like beyond PG-13 to me. That moment. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
I didn't interrupt you, but
it's like just the creature design on this movie. I loved.
This movie was hella
Which is
violent.
something that one of the people I very much disagreed with had a beef with the creature
the
design.
Skull crawlers, that's what they call it.
What? They were great.
Yeah, some people are saying like the skull crawlers are just like a bad creature. Like it's
So's your mom.
Well, let's see your creature. Let's see your creature design. Let's see. What do you think would be better? That's what I'd like to ask. What do you think would be better?
And I love that scene where John C. Reilly finally says the name of what the skull crawlers are.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of all those like zombie movies where every zombie movie has a different name for zombies.
Yeah.
And like when you finally say it out loud, it does sound pretty stupid.
Like what she says, he's like,
we call these zombies like crawlies or something. And it's just so interesting how they that lexicon gets out, because one person had to decide what they're called.
Right. And that's so great when he's like, which sounds stupid now that I say it out loud.
You know what? I almost wish they hadn't doubled down with the other two characters saying, "I'm cool with it if you're cool with it." Like, I think that line stands better as just him saying, "It sounds stupid now that I say it out loud," and they could have just moved on. But I think that is a fucking like almost iconic moment, I think, in this movie. Otherwise,
agreed.
The other two, this movie tried to do
Tom
something.
Hiddleston and Brie Larson.
Yeah, like she was fine. This time around, I think the first time I was like, damn, he looks fine. And he does. Okay. But this time around, I'm like, what is they really don't give him much to do. They don't give a lot of people much to do. It's fine if you're just there for those like two really cool scenes.
We're not here for the people though. We're here for Kong.
Exactly. You're right. Yeah. What am I doing?
No, and they do. What's weird is they do give you a lot for one of these, for any of these monster movies. The people are so much more engaging and interesting than usual, but again, you're not even really there for them.
Yeah, they're just,
or you shouldn't be.
They're a highlight, but they're not the main focal point. Like, I love John C. Reilly's character. Like
I love him in everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's one of my.
But
favorite
even his backstory is cool as hell. With
there's some
with
pathos.
the Japanese soldier that they became friends eventually.
And he sells that shit. He's such a great actor.
Yeah,
he can talk about this character where you didn't get to see the intervening 30 years, right? But he does such a good job of the emotion in that, where he's getting choked up thinking about him. You can imagine all the stuff in between really well.
Yeah, I want to see that movie actually.
They made that movie.
Did they?
Yeah, it's called Hell in the Pacific, I think.
Oh, really?
It's about.
But there's no monsters in it.
No, it's just about a Japanese soldier and some allied soldier.
No, I'm talking about John C. Reilly's. Like,
you want specifically this.
You want specifically that movie. Yes. The two of them living on the island
just
together.
trying to survive and discovering those creatures.
Other adventures.
And,
that would actually be a pretty cool. They could do an animated series of that.
And finding that tribe that he lives with eventually.
Yeah, that could be cool.
I would love to see some animated interstitial kind of pieces to tie some of these movies together. That would be awesome.
The soldier character Cole, played by Shea Wiggum.
I love him. Shea Wiggum.
Yeah. Wiggum. You give this character this great redemptive moment. He's going to sacrifice himself to save their lives. He's like, this moment, he's doing it. He's got the grenades in his hand and he's walking, and he just gets fucking tail whipped into a cliff face and explodes and does nothing. That was so mean.
And it's a great, but it's a great moment too.
It's mean.
I liked it because there is a lot of tropes in this movie, but they play against the tropes too. Because we thought we could have his big moment, but then he just gets snapped and explodes.
Again, it's one of the strengths of the movie, and again, that is to reinforce no human is gonna fucking kill these things. Well, I guess no human is gonna kill these things, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like not the big one. And so it's one more thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna not. Oh, I see your little grenades. That's cool. I'm a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And he just fucking boop.
He just
hits him with his. And I think that's amazing. That just reinforces, like, you might as well just get out of the fucking way and hope that Kong beats these things and lets you get off the island.
I kind of thought that might have been a running gag for that actor. Shut up. That he's also gets blown up in something else I've seen, where he does this heroic thing and ends up jumping out a window and exploding. And it's the same actor, and I'm wondering if maybe
is this his Sean Bean?
It might be his thing. Yeah, I'm wondering. I should have looked this up.
Oh boy, shouldn't you have?
I should have.
So great movie, good time. Could have been.
Movie.
I'm gonna say something and don't get mad. Could have been a little shorter. But then
I'm not mad, but I disagree.
I thought the same thing, but I don't know what they could have cut out. Maybe just less human stuff.
Yeah.
I love Saigon, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I thought that sequence was really great. The way they designed they kind of recreated.
Perfect. This movie is like such a great Hollywood, like a really well done, stylish Hollywood movie that I love. The kind that I love. And I really think it doesn't actually get credit for as good as it is. It is, again, I understand the other ones where people have sort of beef, but this one to me, I can't really follow what if you like giant that's what I said to I think everyone who ever said to me they didn't like this. I was like, well, if you like giant monster movies at all, this should be at the fucking top of your list. And you tell me one, just one, name me one fucking giant monster movie other than The Host, because that's not the same kind of thing. But you name me fucking one that does any of this in a less silly way or has you can't. You can't.
All I could think of was Pacific Rim, and I'm like, no, that's a way sillier way.
It's incredible. It's so much sillier. I love that movie too.
I love it.
In this movie, I don't. What this movie does, what other movies don't, it really shows how big these monsters are.
Kong seems bigger than
that's what I'm saying.
What I thought he was.
Well, he is bigger about
this movie because he's huge.
Yeah.
See, the original King Kong was between I don't know exactly in the 1933 version, somewhere between like 25 and 50 feet tall, maybe not even 50, maybe like 30 feet tall. Kong in the American movie, in the original and in Peter Jackson's, he's big, right. But like this Kong is meant to fight Godzilla eventually.
Okay,
it's why they make that mention that he's still growing, because by the time we get to the timeline, by the time you get to where he faces off with the other Titans, he's now grown much, much larger because of being part of the Hollow Earth thing that they set up. So yeah, Kong is much bigger in this than he's ever been.
It was a moving goalpost too, because like they said when they were filming this, that the actors would say, well, how big is Kong? And they would get a different answer every time. So I kind of like the mystery of it. And actually, that's what I would say. I'm not like a stickler for giant monster movies sticking to scale. We're like, well, the monster changed scale 3 or 4 times. I'm like, so what? Who gives a fuck? It's more dramatic. It makes more sense visually to me to have them this size for this scene.
It's cooler to look at too. I love.
I can't Cars a kaiju movie, and people that do. I'm just not that kind of movie nerd. And honestly, I'm trying not to sound mean.
I'm trying a good job.
Very hard not to sound mean because I feel like when I get these complaints, it's this all right. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We love it. I love it, and that's all that matters.
I like that Kelley. It sounds like Kelley worked at the King Kong complaint line for like a couple of years. When I was working at King Kong complaints, the KKC. You're right, Amy. You see, you have a list of names there.
All right, I think everybody enjoyed the fart out of this movie.
Yeah. Yes. Now, before we move on, and listeners, we're going to let you in on some housekeeping. Are we picking 3 movies? Or are we picking 2 and let a listener pick one of the other 2?
Nope. It's a special month. You get all 3.
All right, because I think we should skip 2014 Godzilla and do King of the Monsters and Kong versus Godzilla, because 2014 is good, but like I feel like they were finding their footing with Godzilla in that one.
And
there's not that much Godzilla.
Watch that just so I can refresh, because I've only seen.
You should.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Each of these movies
it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. But there's less Godzilla.
Right.
Too much King of the Monsters.
Not enough Godzilla.
Yeah, King of the Monsters. They introduce more of the monster.
I do vaguely remember that.
And that's basically, Godzilla versus Ghidorah. I mean, it is completely a Toho movie, directed by Mike Doherty of Trick or Treat fame. Oh. So, thank you for indulging me in this.
Yeah.
These are movies that I'm always excited to revisit.
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is very comforting, and you don't have to think too much about, and that's what I need at this moment in my life.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of every show, we always say hi to our Beelzebubs. I'm going to do that right now.
Do that.
Patreon.com/NOTLP if you would like to be one or see what's going on over there. Alise.
Love you, beautiful.
Alyssa. Branan and Emily. Jeffel. Iona Goodwin. Dr. Brian. Bill, what was I supposed to call you? Bill's a poppin'?
Bill's a poppin'.
Oh, Bill's a poppin'.
Then we have Bill Farner.
Right this way, your table's waiting.
Frosted Blakes. Blayne Yogurt. Jordache Jeans.
Dustin and Ace.
Dustin and Ace. Paul. Jeremy, Cassie, and Gamora. Ernie. Dave Siebert. And Monica.
Yeah!
Thank you, guys.
Fuck yeah, monsters!
Thank you, guys. This is fun.
This was wonderful. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, see y'all later.
Frankenstein was wondering if he should go to